Look, maybe. That's what I mean by jab step. Niall. See, like Oren's here, his foot just goes forward. Even his is a little bit. It's not fantastic, but yeah, well, that's all right. It's good. His foot, it's not a big step. It stays close to the ground. That's kind of what you're after. Even though his heel does come up a little bit, but it's a little bit quicker than yours. That bit there, the heel, the jab step stays close to the ground. For Niall, I know I've said this to you good, but Oren, but obviously your plant. Um,
Yeah,
just
I tried to work on it and I just couldn't click it
no,
properly.
yeah. No, it's obviously a hard thing to do. You do it probably for fucking 20 something years, probably. So it's not something you can change overnight. It just looks weird. Or maybe Mangan, if you actually see this, what do you make of the plant being so far to the right? If you're able to talk, no worries. If not, Mangan,
Let me see. Go
look at
again.
his plant there. His plant is like, I always say, it feels like it's cutting off power, like the opposite of the arm. Like having his plant so far out to the right is restricting his ability. He obviously, it's a great follow through. That's because he's bouncy as hell. But
His
um,
plant foot is like too narrow, or are facing like his toes
it's like
facing
Joy,
back.
his plant foot's way off to the right there. Like just aimed out towards those trees.
That's fine. There's a lot of guys like Young Wei Koo or like whoever else was on there earlier. They open their foot. Some guys have it straight on, and some great kickers have it quite narrow. There's a great kicker for the Giants who's quite narrow.
Like
Nick Folk
narrow
is
is
actually narrow. Nick Folk is quite narrow. He turns his foot in like that.
okay.
And
All right,
last
sound.
I heard, he's pretty good.
Okay, sound. Yeah, I
Well,
always thought that.
it's often a comfort thing with plant foot. Like some people will open big and wide, some people will close it like this, and some people will aim it straight at the post. A lot of coaches will force you to aim your plant foot at the post because you have to aim straight, blah, 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 take American accent. But that's not the case. It's whatever is comfortable with you that you can kind of get your swing through, get your follow through, and transfer your power. So,
Yeah, if I have it straight, I seem to miss a left, I've noticed.
yeah.
Because I'm coming across it more.
So that's probably what you've learned, Oren. Like, and that's grand to me. If you feel like that feels comfortable for you and you can really get your foot through it, that's like the most important
Yeah.
thing.
In fairness, if you look at him here, obviously he's very good at his follow through. He like flies through. Great pop. Which is
Yeah,
good.
wouldn't be too concerned about it.
Yeah. All right. You threw my last 4 weeks of calls out the window, but it's all right.
That's what I'm here for. To
Yeah.
piss you off.
All right. Okay. Good job there again. Obviously, that one looked like you didn't smack it very well, so I just want to listen to the sound. It's not bad.
It's close.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's obviously a good boy. Obviously, look here. Look at the turf. Watch. See how much turf you catch.
Yeah, I
That's
think
gonna.
it's because I'm mixing between clicking off the Declan Gaelic and American football. It's messing me up a bit.
Yeah. No, yeah, I just know that there, like you're obviously catching a lot of turf there, so you're losing out on a bit of power there. Which actually brings me to a good point, lads. I'm not sure we said this to you before, but a lot of kickers, if your boots have big studs on the front, sort of right-footed kickers by your big toe, a lot of people think it's a good idea to shave down the front studs because that's obviously what's catching here is his front left on his right boot. So by his big toe there, if those studs were shaven down like flat, then they obviously wouldn't. If your foot was a bit lower, you're not going to still catch the turf. So it's a little thing some kickers do, or excuse me, a lot of kickers do is shave down the front studs. That's less likely to happen and catch the floor like that. But again, again your follow through. Well, sorry, that looks like your fans. We're just getting a bit low on the ball. Um, and your foot, yeah, sorry, your foot isn't see as well. It's not turned over. I'm seeing a little bit of studs, but not a lot, which is obviously kind of what we're after. Um, so again, yeah, not catching the floor, getting a bit low on the ball, and then your foot's not quite turned over nicely there. it's probably all playing into that not being your best ball. Okay. Might just be the angle, but it looks like to me like you're aimed a little bit right. But it could just be the angle of the camera. Sorry, I know you're in work, so you don't have to talk, but that's just what I'm thinking. Not sure, maybe the wind's going right to left.
So Dara, just due to the current time constraints and the fact that we might have a guest on, do we want to proceed to our guest?
Oh, is he here? Sorry, I had no idea he was even here.
No, that's fine, bye.
Is he here? Sorry.
Yeah, but it's not like he's from Cork, like, you know, to get that excited.
Well,
Okay. Lost the crack by. Sorry, I didn't know you're here. I was just
no, you're all
engrossed in
good. No,
watching.
no panic. I was actually just watching the kicks as well.
No, watching one of the fellas bang the ball. Sorry, I'll
Yep.
get over to big Charlie Smyth, so lads.
So if you want to, Dara, if you want to switch to your screen and just stop sharing the screen.
Yeah.
So Dara will take over. But for those of you who don't know who this is, he started kicking a little while ago with Tig. He showed up to a session on a cold September evening. He went to the wrong field to show up to the session. And then he broke every road law and act in Ireland to get to the other side of the field before the session ended, and hit 4 field goals. And that was the beginning of his football career. Fast forward about 8 months, he signed with the New Orleans Saints after impressing big time at the NFL draft, or the NFL Combine, I should say. Ladies and gentlemen, or just gentlemen, however you identify, Charlie Smyth.
Well,
I'll give you
that
an
was some
applause.
introduction, but you don't need to do an anatomy now.
Yeah, you're all right, lads.
How's the crack, lads? Hope you're all well.
Yeah, we're doing great. Thanks very much for coming on. I'll leave Dara take over from here because I got a couple of things to take care of. But great that you're joining. There is some questions in the chat that we'll get to the end, Charlie and Dara. So, lads, if you do have questions, you can throw them into the chat, and we'll hear a little bit about Charlie's story and how he got so good.
Yeah. Training with me, lad. That's how you got great.
That's it. That was my holder. That was it.
Yeah. All right, I'd say the best thing to do is just go over for the lads like how you found, because most of the lads, a few German lads in here tonight, but like how you found the transition from like kicking a Gaelic ball to a football, and what you thought, like what were the big learnings for you in doing that, as in like in terms of like your foot strike or your follow through and things like that. Just I know some good points the lads might be good for them to know about.
No, I just remember like obviously watching back on my first session, kicking the American football, and the natural tendency for us as like Gaelic footballers to do is to kick and follow, and for our bodies to just fall away to the left. So you kick and your follow through goes left. Your hips and shoulders turn left, and it's kind of like a lazy style sort of backspin sort of type kick.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the biggest thing was your follow through, and then you're finishing forward towards your target. That was probably the biggest adjustment. And then you're just constantly refining things as you go on, and you're learning more about yourself as you're kicking. And like we all have our own like kicking styles. Like there's no kicker, there's no two kickers that are the exact same in everything they do, unless you're directly trying to copy the way somebody does something. But like my biggest advice on that itself is just probably just develop your own routine. Listen to Tig and Dara on what you should be thinking about, because that's probably some of the most important things you can develop as a kicker. Like I just remember going from playing Gaelic football where I wasn't really thinking much. I was thinking about my routine and my steps, but I wasn't thinking of like controllable swing thoughts. So just developing that sort of side of things, the mentality side of things, the controllable thoughts before you go to kick the ball. And then that's been sort of a massive help to like help eliminate the situation of like is it going to be in game, is it in practice where the general manager's watching you, like just you're not thinking about that. It's about thinking about the what's important, and that's obviously the process of the kick, and then the outcomes take care of themselves after that as a result.
No, that's actually a good point. Sorry, I was just chatting to one of the lads there, or saying it earlier on the call. I'm not sure you're there, but just like some lads overthink on their swing paw. I think it was Sam. Yeah, Sam was really thinking about his follow through on his kickoff, getting a hurdle, and he felt like he wasn't getting like a great strike because he's like focusing too much on like that side of things. So like for you, like do you think it's better to have swing thoughts, or like to have it just be like, oh, I'm classic kick and kick the ball?
No, I think there's a good balance between that. Like, one thing I'll say about that is that I wouldn't over. You know, you can't. You sometimes you can overcomplicate swing thoughts, and you can have swing thoughts that aren't really that important. So, like for example, you could say to yourself, like even that come to mind, like just something about that coming to mind about a hurdle step. That's nearly like a swing thought post kick. So that's not actually anything to do with for the kick. So that for me, that sounds like it's something that you're thinking about after the kick. And don't get me wrong, like you can think about, your hips, finishing square or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is just to keep your swing thoughts simple and have one. For me, I have one dominant one that never changes. And then sometimes if the weather is poor or if there's something else that's going on, then I can add, like I can change the second one. But there is a constant dominant swing thought for me, and that's making sure that my temperature of the ball is good, so that my plant foot's getting in the same spot every kick, and then that allows me to just, you know, just swing and kick the ball. But for me, the most dominant one would probably be my tempo towards the ball, and that
Yeah.
was something that John Carney would have said to me.
Okay, nice. Yeah, 'cause I was kind of the opposite. I thought when I first started kicking, I was taking too much notes, and then I was having too many swing thoughts, and then I was hitting shit kicks because I was like thinking about so many different things. But
Your
I,
brain can't think of more than two things at once whenever it comes to the kick. So if you're sitting and trying to have, three, even like sometimes even two is too much. Like if you
yeah,
have any more than two swing thoughts, then you're gonna be very inconsistent. That's just
yeah.
the way that goes because you're thinking about too much at once.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. No, I like that. And come here to me. How did you find going? I know a lot of the lads haven't done like just in terms of your first time kicking with like live snap hold kicks in a team environment. Because most of the lads here that if they eventually go to college and stuff, they won't. That'll be their first time being training over
hmm
there. Like, not, won't get it over here. So, how did you find that when you first started out? Like the first session you were kicking.
Yeah, I remember it was with Barry and yourself and in freezing cold Sport Ireland, and I think my up times probably would have been like 1:06, 1:07.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, look, that's just something that you develop a feel for over time. Like that's not something even now, with the Saints or whatever. Like I don't even think about that. That's just something that you develop over time. But
yeah,
for beginners starting off, like obviously you guys are starting off with that, and you're going to be, hopefully getting scholarships. I'm sure for the most part, the majority of you will, and you know, like whenever you nod or whatever you do to make sure to tell your holder that you're ready, really just look at his fingers on the ground. So for the most part, holders will have their two left fingers on the ground. They'll keep them there whenever you give their nod, and then they turn to the snapper, flash, and whenever that left hand comes up to try and catch the ball, then that's normally then whenever you should start your approach to the ball. And a good way to look at it, even on film after, if the operation is good, is that whenever your right foot hits the ground after your jab step, that the ball, if the ball is there, whenever you're right, as your right foot's about to hit the ground, but it's there at that time, then it normally means that the operation, is going to be a good one then, and then ultimately
yeah.
it's up to the kicker then to make the kick.
So you mean your second, sorry, left, right? Your second step is
Yeah, so you
the ball.
jab right and then you plant. So whenever your drive step is your right step hitting the ground before you kick, or if you're left footer, the other way about. For the most part, kickers are right footed. So as
Yeah.
your right foot or your drive step hits the ground, the ball should be there, and obviously that's up to your snapper and holder. But that normally means that that'll be like a, a decent timed operation in around the 125, 130. That's kind of what you're looking.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And yeah, so I just a lot of the lads. Well, it's a few weeks ago now. They had their first session kicking with the Wolfhounds, and we did like live snap holds with the team around, and all the lads shouting shit, and like
hmm
no offense to all the lads, but most of them didn't do great.
Yeah.
So I was not saying like the same thing, but when you like your first time doing it in like the New Orleans Saints with a full team around you, like how did you manage that? Like mentally, like thoughts and stuff, and then just like yeah, you're just your experience, your first time banging balls with everyone watching you, and
hmm
obviously your first time doing it in a team environment.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to last week. So last week was my first time really sort of feeling that sort of like sense of pressure, or whatever. It's like the first time where the job was open again, and kicking with the team. And I told myself, like, you're gonna have adrenaline in those situations. And for me, what works for me is that I say, look, I've got adrenaline here. That is brilliant. Like, I love this feeling. Like, this means that these kicks are obviously, quite important. So I try to use the adrenaline to just swing harder. And that's what works for me. I think,
Yeah.
like, this is class. Like, because sometimes, like, you're kicking on your own and you're not kicking the ball maybe as hard, or the leg speed isn't the same. But whenever you get in front of that team field goal,
Yeah.
that's, for me, what works for me is that, oh, this is class. I've got adrenaline. Nothing about my tempo changes. The only thing that changes is that I can actually kick the ball harder, and my leg speed's faster as I'm kicking the ball. So again, like, that all comes down to your mentality. It's like, ooh, I'm kicking in front of this college coach or this high school coach, or I'm kicking in front of people who are chatting shit to me or whatever, or they're trying to put me off. But you can, like, that's all about how you think about it. So you can either use that as like, yeah, this is class, or you can not that you car away, but you can let the pressure get to you. So a big thing about that is just recognizing, yeah, this is like, isn't this class? I'm getting a kick in these high pressured situations, and saying, look, I'm going to have adrenaline. Recognize that, but your tempo doesn't change, because for the most part, whenever you get in those situations, then you rush to the ball because you're eager. So you need to make sure that you're smooth to the ball, and then let rip whenever it comes time to kick. But everything pre-kick stays the same. So that's something that even myself, that would have happened to maybe the opposite when I started, was kicking in those situations and you rush to the ball, and then your body position's all over the place. You're not as balanced. So yeah, just really the big thing in that is recognizing the fact that you've got adrenaline.
Yeah.
You've got, this is important, like recognizing, yeah, this is classic, and making sure that you're thinking positively and not like, oh, like, ooh, this is big here. I don't really want to be that. It's like, I would call it, like, it's a discomfortable situation, but it's class. Like, it's like, this is where you want to be if you want to, make kicks in front of teams, and win starting jobs, and just
Yeah.
really enjoy it. Like, 'cause those are the moments that you really, us as kickers, especially in our position now, is that um, there's a lot of pressure on the kicker. So we have to have a process where we can handle pressure, and if you can't handle pressure as a kicker, you may forget about it.
Yeah, you'll be struggling. No, that's
Yeah.
class. That's class to you're so like I'm a Tigers. Sorry, Tigers told me about that before, but just, as you're saying that now, that's like such a good mindset to be like, fuck this, I'm just gonna bang this over the bar, and like see it as like it's class that you're in a place or in the arena where things happen and you're not like carrying away from it. Which remind me, as they're talking about it, is a lot of lads have problems where, let's say it's a close in field goal and stuff, and lads try and just chip the ball over and don't just bang it over. What's your like thoughts on, like I say, a close in kick versus a further out kick? Is it all the same, or does it change, or when does it change for you? Do you do
Well,
chip shots, or
yeah, there's
you bang
also
and
another
everything?
thing in that as well. Sometimes you just try to chip it over. There's also a thing on close in field goals where we want to see, is the kick good or not? Is the kick good or is it not, really quickly? So that can sometimes lead to us lifting our head too quickly. And that's something that I would have done at the start as well. And next thing you know, the ball's wide left because we've lifted our head too quickly and we've pulled it. So
Yeah.
just think about, potentially, this is something that works for me as well. Don't lift your head too quickly. Keep your head down on impact and swing. And if you don't, if you can keep it down, or whatever, this is what works for me. But we all want to know, is the kick good or not straight away. And with the close in ones, obviously the ball doesn't have to travel as far to reach the goalpost. So that means we lift our head quicker, and then that can lead to us pulling some short field goals. So the big thing in that is just don't lift your head too quickly to see, is the kick good or not. Make sure that the strike is good, and then ultimately the kick should be good. The outcome should be good, is what I'm trying to say. But that's a
Yeah. So
big thing in that. That's a huge thing that I can't emphasize that enough, is not trying to lift your head too quickly to see, is the kick good or not, because even to this day, sometimes my coach reminds me of that, if I'm in warm ups or whatever. But it's a big thing now, especially for me on my extra point attempts, where they're supposed to be bread and butter, and that's my big thing going into every single PAT I attempt now, or short field goal.
yeah, just keep your head down. So would you say that then you're treating them all kind of the same? Like you're not overly changing what you're doing. Everything's the same process, whether it's in close or out 50 yards.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the most part, they're all the same now. Now, if you're outside, like, you might have to change your target line, or you might have to say, look, I need to get a bit more behind this ball from, for me, that distance is probably, if it's indoors and I'm like, okay, I have to kick this, I have to noticeably kick this ball maybe a bit harder. It's probably like, 57, 58 plus.
Yeah.
But then apart from that, then, everything really should be the same. So really from 50 and then everything's the same.
Okay. Nice. I know some of you're all putting in questions here. I'll go to them in a second. But in terms of your training schedule, what does that look like? And like maybe do like off season versus in season. How many times a week you kick, or and like let's say your gym sessions and stuff. How does that look for you?
Yeah, well, right now I'm only kicking twice a week. So um, it's a long season. And if you overkick, that can lead to some issues. But for you guys that are just starting out, it's probably important that if your bodies are able to handle the load, that you get some decent work maybe 3 times a week is what I would say. And I would probably prioritize your kicking over your gym, if especially at the start. Um, but then there's this line between whenever you can potentially overkick, in a session. So if you're kicking maybe over, I'd say a number for when you're starting out, maybe 35 balls a session. Then that's whenever the leg speed starts to go. That's whenever you can get tired. So for you guys starting out, like I didn't really do any gym work at the start because I was just focusing on kicking. But gym work is important, especially for the younger guys. So we had such a short time frame to get ready for the combine and stuff there, as you know. And the
Yeah.
big focus was on our kicking. But now that I'm in the building, it's twice a week, making sure that the reps are good. Some sessions I'll only kick. Yesterday I kicked, and I think with the snap and hold I had 9 kicks, and I had maybe 5 or 6 off sticks, and I'm up on team field goal again on Friday, and I'll only get 5 kicks in that section. So I'll maybe get 4 or 5 warm ups, and then that's it. But for me, it's all about making sure I'm fresh and my legs ready to go for Friday, because that's what's important. That's what I'm getting judged on. And then yeah, we work out. So we worked out yesterday. We worked out today. We work out tomorrow. We work out Friday, and then that's it. So really, maybe like 4 gym sessions a week, where the sessions maybe only last like 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, and then I'll kick twice a week, and I'll probably not kick over 50 field goals a week.
Okay. And then for those sessions, are they like two upper, two lower, or what does it look like for that?
Yeah. So whenever we kick, we lift lower after, and then when on days we're not kicking, we'll do an upper lift before practice then. So it really so yeah, we only really lift lowers after. But even now, like we've got like this new strength staff in with the Saints, and like the head guy has won NFL Strength Coach of the Year twice with 2 different teams,
Yeah.
with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, who won the Super Bowl, and who he was with the Rams as well, maybe a while back, and he won Strength Coach of the Year there as well. And he works directly with the specialists and the quarterbacks every day. And we're not getting under the bar and squatting, 150 kilos. Like we're just like goblet squatting. We're just doing single leg sort of exercises with Bulgarian split squats, RDLs, and a lot of rotational exercises. So a lot of you know, cable stuff with rotation. So like you'll be down on one knee and you'll cross a bar across your body. Just a lot of like core
Yeah.
sort of stuff, rotational stuff that way. And yeah, that's really it. And we do a lot of preparation before, like your typical strength coach and GA warm up, where you might be doing a sprint session, something like that as well, and mobility. And it's really really good. I'm really enjoying the workouts.
Nice. That's class. That's interesting. Yeah, you're not chasing strength numbers. You're just chasing
Yeah.
what's useful from the gym to the field in terms of, yeah, you said, like rotational
And
stuff.
that's actually kind of how I hurt myself towards the end of the season last year. Was probably getting too much depth, and I was kicking a lot, too much depth, and with lifting heavy, and then ended up sort of hurting my hip labrum a bit. So that's something that you don't really want to mess about with. So like that's just what we're doing right now, and that's
Yeah.
what's working for us. So I
That's,
mean, for younger guys, that maybe they want to develop that muscle mass. I'm at a stage where I'm 210 pounds or whatever that is in kilos,
big
95,
units.
96. I don't really feel like I need to be adding more muscle mass, but if there's 16, 17, 18-year olds here, I don't know what the dynamic is. maybe that's what they need to be
Yeah.
focusing on too.
No, it definitely makes sense. Like Charlie's at the top of the game, and yeah, physically he doesn't need to develop too much more. He just needs to be fit and healthy and scoring kicks. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely for younger lads, you do need when you're that age and if you're young fella, you still need to do chase strength numbers in the gym. But on that,
yeah.
on the other thing, what would be like? Just came into my head there. What would be like your favorite gym exercises and like your favorite exercise or what you do to kind of stay healthy? Like, do you do stretching and stuff, or do you have any exercise you're like, oh,
What a Dara question. What's your favorite exercise in the gym?
Yeah, last year I really enjoyed safety bar back squat. That was
I like it,
something
lad.
I was even in the off season. I was hitting some pretty good numbers in, and I wasn't squatting too low just due to the fact of the hip labor and sort of the end of the season last year. And that's something I really like doing. Don't get me wrong, like it's hard to be an out bench day as well.
You know,
I or more so dumbbell bench now, but I do
hopefully
enjoy
that's
getting
gone
the
up a
upper
bit since
lifts
I
in
last saw
and
you doing it in Florida.
hey.
Hopefully that's gone up a little bit since I last saw you do it in Florida.
We're hitting some
Yourself and
good.
Beck and
We're hitting
Sean.
more so dumbbell numbers. Probably the strength's probably been pretty good at the minute now. Probably the strongest I've ever been. So
Nice,
yeah,
lad.
like whenever you're not kicking, some days it's just nice to get a rip and uppers lift and feel good about yourself.
Yeah, has to be
Connor
done,
knows
man.
about that as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
he does. And then
yeah.
what would be? Do you do any stretching at like a nighttime or anything like that, or like recovery stuff? What do you be doing?
Yeah, I do a lot of more so now as well. Just trying to look after hip stuff. So a lot of hip mobility, a lot of band work with the hips. I've added some band activation into my pre-kicking warm up now. And yeah, that's what's working for me. Yeah, on off days I'm stretching, looking after my back. A lot of rotational stretches. In the off season, I was doing some hot yoga as well, and it was really good for your back, like really good because a lot of spinal rotation stuff. And when you think about kicking, like it's all rotational. You're always like crossing your left arms coming across your chest, and you're crunching. So you need to have good strong core. A lot of core work this year with our new strength staff. It's been the biggest difference and from previous strength coaches I've had is it's so much core focused. Um, and yeah, a
Six
lot
pack.
of just making sure that you're healthy. So a lot of hip mobility, spinal rotational stretches, lower back, looking after it as well, making sure that when I'm doing a core exercise, my back's arched to the ground or I'm braced properly. I'm in a straight line, so you're not hurting the lower back that way. And yeah, I mean, it's every day you're in the building, you're able to look after yourself and getting into the ice tubs and contrast hot tub, cold tub, using the boots. Like it's like to be honest, the NFL facility we have is unbelievable. So we're just so lucky to be able to
Yeah,
have all of that, and you can get needles done or whatever. But yeah, like that's just try to look after make the most of the facilities that we have, and it's unreal. Making sure
that's
your
it.
nutrition is good as well is a big one, and you're getting in all the proteins and
All the
yeah. Don't get me
proteins.
wrong, like the kicker lifestyle, I used to be a very carb heavy diet, and in America, if you're a carb heavy diet as a kicker, you're not gonna be long pound on the pound. So more so like protein based um meals post workout.
Yeah, nice,
Yeah,
lad.
yeah.
The sorry, Mangan, you saying something? Oh, that's
No,
not.
not me. Not
No,
me.
sorry.
Just loving the fish and chips diet from Charlie Smith.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
like it.
it's improved since then. A lot of steak now. A lot of
You're
red
having
meat.
some
Yeah.
crawfish and some gumbo.
Yeah,
No, you know
Little,
me. I don't like seafood.
little tidbit about information. Charlie moved to one of the seafood capitals of the United States. He doesn't like seafood.
Oh, it probably is the
It's,
seafood capital of
it's,
the states, to be
it's
honest.
that's nice.
served
I hate it as well. So
everywhere
I'm with
there.
you, Charlie.
So straight from the Gulf of America.
I like the Gulf of America. I've I don't mind sushi now. I'm kind of getting on sushi a wee bit,
Nice buy.
but
Hey, I'll
all that
just
crawfish and all that. Fuck.
Take
Oh,
take
sorry, there's young
risks.
lads on.
That's what Charlie's saying. Take risks. Try
Yeah,
sushi.
expand
yeah,
out.
yeah.
All
Just
right.
stick to the fried chicken. That's good.
Plenty of protein there, boy. All
Yeah,
right, I'll shoot through some of these questions lads are shooting in here. I'll just go
yep.
in order. So this is from Gary. What was your biggest challenge you faced since starting your journey to the NFL, and what you did to overcome it?
So whenever I got here or before I got there.
He just kind of said, "What was your biggest challenge since you faced since you started your journey?" So journey to the NFL? What
Yeah,
was like?
I mean, probably like, as considering that most of these guys are going to get scholarships, it can be quite tough the initial move over. Not having a car,
Yeah,
not having, just simple things set up, like getting a, driver's license, all that sort of off the field stuff, bank account set up, like social security number, all of that. It just takes time. And
the admin.
then your personal life as well. So you don't really have as many connections off of the field. And I was obviously I was one of the first Irish guys to come over here, and I'm hoping now when these guys get over that,
Yeah,
they'll have they'll be able to feed from each other and have group chats going, and keep the banter going that way. But that was probably the toughest part, was the initial move over and being in the evening time. Everybody at back home's asleep, so you're just trying to you're living in a
yeah,
hotel for the start. So that was tough. But then, like, that's just all part of it. Like that, I knew that was coming. And if you want something as much as what I wanted to work out, I'm still wanting to work out because I haven't achieved my goal yet, which is to be a starter. Um, then you just remind yourself all the time that it's going to be worth it in the long run. You just have to say, look,
yeah,
at the start, there's going to be tough days. Don't give in. Don't say, look, I'm homesick or whatever. I wasn't homesick, but I know some guys that could potentially happen, and then they'll say, oh, look, this isn't for me. And if it's not for you, then so be it. But you have to question to yourself, how much do you want it? And whenever you want something as much as what I want, what some other guys want as well, then good days will come as a result of that. So you just constantly remind yourself that the good days are coming, and it's just in the initial phase of moving over, moving country, getting used to the lifestyle, just everything, becoming more familiar with the city, which I feel like I am doing now, and enjoying it even more this year. Those are just things that are just part of the process of moving to the States.
yeah. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, a lot of lads would find that a little bit weird, but I've done it, you've done it, Mangan's done it, and most lads end up loving it. Pretty much everyone does end up loving it over there. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be too worried about that, lads. Sorry, I'll just shoot through all these. The fair few here, so you can give shorter answers to these if you want.
dead on. That's all
um,
good.
so you said, compared to the way lighter and smaller kickers like Groupie, what's the biggest difference you notice in training between like smaller kickers and big kickers? Do you notice that in difference, let's say, between like how a small kicker kicks for like let's say how a small kicker gets more power or something, or
That's something I've actually heard him talk about a little more recently. So it's just he calls it pull and power from different places. So he calls it, like, I think he gets it more from his upper body and his torso, whereas I feel like I'm just more of a leg dominant kicker. I just get on the power from a leg. Probably some core as well. To be honest, I don't really know. Like, that's just something that as a kicker you just got to figure that out yourself, and that's something you develop as a feel.
yeah,
Um, I don't overthink about these things really, to be honest.
you just
I
bang balls,
just
lads.
I just see ball, kick ball, and I know I've got a strong leg. So
Yeah,
I'm not small, so I can't really talk about that, to be honest.
yeah. No, I got you, lad. Um, Fionn said, or Felix, he kind of went over the training schedule, and Sam, he kind of went over the stretch stuff. So Fionn said, which was a better feeling, winning the under 20 Ulster title or your first NFL game?
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, winning that under 20 championship
Good
was
question.
fun. That was great, but nah, hitting that game winner was the most ecstatic feeling I've ever had in my life. Especially when I was in an NFL game and it was a fact it was your game winner for your first kick. Nah, there's no adrenaline like that, honestly. Yeah, but there's going to be more of those, and hopefully some bigger moments in my career than that. But that wasn't a bad starter, to be honest. That was unreal,
Yeah,
class. I can't honestly, I can't describe to you that feeling.
I remember I was in a hotel room and I woke up at like 6 a.m. and I just looked at my phone and thought he sent it to me, and I was like wide awake then at fucking 6 in the morning after you banged that. It was hilarious.
And here, I'll tell you who felt the exact same as me. It was a man on this call, Conor Mangan. He was at the game.
Oh,
That was the fact he drove to Arizona for that. It was unreal. It was class. And
no, it
he was the
was that.
first person I saw after the game as well. So big props
When,
there for the drop kick. He doesn't miss a beat.
he doesn't
We'll
bite.
never forget that. There's
Oh Jesus,
moments
Conor,
in
that
your
was
life
unbelievable.
you can point to that are quite as significant as that, and that was unbelievable.
Hey,
It was bite.
You can't
Uh,
point to many moments in your life like that are like quite pivotal, and that was it. Like
yeah,
I remember when he came out, like when he actually walked out eventually, like it just went nuts. Just
Yeah, Connor was in like the family friend sort of area, and he just like pulled the barricade back and just sprinted out to me and jumped on me. Like it was class. It was unreal. Like,
It
yeah.
wouldn't be like Mangan to sneak into place, no, would it?
Oh no, here I got him sorted for that, but he snuck
yeah,
out
he
of it.
got you
Then we
sorted.
got back in.
Yeah.
It was
Uh,
class.
I'll move on to the next one. Is from Tom. What has been the best point of technique or prep you've learned from another NFL kicker that was beneficial to you? Who was it from, and what was it? If you can remember, Anthem.
I
Does
mean,
anyone get? Yeah.
I'm a big like. Don't get me wrong. I watch other guys, but my background's different to theirs. So like, there's no other NFL kicker. Obviously with Jude now, but he, again, Jude came
Yeah.
in the league at the same time as me. So we all develop our own routines, and I don't try and copy anybody. Um, so like that's just not the way. I don't get me wrong. I watch guys and I watch what they do, but whenever you're just so process driven and so much about improving yourself, and obviously working with tag and stuff on those things,
And me, lad.
and yeah, and you as well. Like obviously at the time, you were trying out as well, but just like chatting about the holding situation and all that too was really
Yeah.
beneficial. But yeah, like the, I think I'm a big believer in not trying to emulate people. I think developing yourself. Don't get me wrong, you can take stuff from people and maybe you can add like a swing thought that they use or whatever. But when it comes to actually trying to emulate kickers, for me that didn't really work for me. I just sort of was very stuck in my own process. And it might have been very easy for me to look at a Rory Began who, I idolized growing up or whatever and say, I want to kick like him. But I was like, no, like I'm myself. Or, a lot of people look at, Justin Tucker, for example, and it's so funny whenever you see people doing the same sort of steps routine as what Justin Tucker does. And it's like, you literally just copied him. Um,
That's
it's
not
like
good.
even,
I'm not sure you're on that part of the call. I said to some lad he was doing good, but I think he left the call there. So
oh, do
it's
they?
good. He just left before he said that. He started doing the Justin Tucker. I just said it worked. If that works for you, he feels better doing it, so he likes it like that.
Yeah. I mean, like,
But he's
whatever, like,
gone. Keep
that's,
moving.
that's each to your own. But, like, for me, I never tried to emulate anybody. I'm Charlie, I'm from Ireland. I don't have the same background as any other guy in the league, so why would I try and, copy them? I'm myself. As I said, I think Tag just joined there. Just working with Tag on that and just having my own swing thoughts, my own routine, constantly refining and changing and improving that, and not overcomplicating things and just seeing ball and kicking ball, and that's
Yeah, I
that's
like
really it.
that.
Like
See ball, kick ball. All right,
yeah.
there's like two more. Niall's asking, how did you balance doing Gaelic football and kicking before you started training, or like before you went to the NFL and the IPP? What did you do in
Well,
that
the
busy
first thing I
period?
did was whenever I heard the NFL, I phoned up Conor Aberdeen, my manager, and told him I'm not coming back till well never hope
Yeah.
so hopefully told him that whenever but obviously look, I know guys are in the middle of their season, so it was a great time for me to say to my down manager, look, I'm doing this and whatever happens, because it was at the end of the club season and the county season hadn't started. So I know there's guys that have commitments to their county teams right now, and especially at underage, those days can be really memorable. And so it's I can't really speak from that because mine was
Yeah.
kind of in the county off season, and we were just starting back in the gym. And the first thing I did was phoned up my county manager, says, "Look, I'm giving this NFL thing a go here," and he probably thought I was mad and probably thought I'd never make it. But look,
There you are now, back.
that's the rest history from that now.
I like it, lad. And then so I struggle with consistency. So Devin says I struggle with consistency on my contact, which tends to mess me up. Is there any advice you can give on getting more consistent contact?
Yeah, so what I'll say to that
Inconsistent.
is that making sure that your tempo to the ball is smooth. So if you're coming in erratic to the ball, as I said at the start, where you're kicking in front of people and you're maybe feeling the pressure or whatever, and you rush to the ball, next thing you know, your plant foot is in a different spot than it was in the previous kick. So you have to find a consistent plant foot spot. And how do you control that? So you control that by making sure your approach to the ball is smoother. So that's something that I really focus on, and not trying not to jam myself to the ball. and making sure that your approach is smooth to the ball, and that'll ultimately lead to a better plant step, which would ultimately lead to, if your plant steps in the same spot every time, that allows you to have the same sort of leg swing and foot contact through the same every time. That's what works for me. But again, that's something that just through reps and reps, you develop that through time.
Yeah, no, through practice you get it, lad. And
Yeah.
then, sorry, there's two more here. Connor asks, do you ever practice any punts?
No,
No punting, no messing.
no.
No messing. And then
Yes, but punts and kickoffs actually.
that's I presume you
Oh, and
meant.
kickoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, I have to work in kickoffs. I mean, a kicker with us. We have Australian punters who can't really kick off. And especially, for the most part, Australians don't normally kick off. So as a kicker, then I have to work on dropping the ball short of the goal line, because in the NFL with the Saints anyway, we always put the ball in play. So I just work on my line drive kicks or my directional kickoffs. And this year, if the ball goes in the end zone, it comes out to 35. So I know with us that we'll be putting the ball in play every time. But from a college perspective, obviously, a lot, some of you guys might get scholarships based off of your kickoff ability. So don't underestimate that. Like, it's important that you show you have a big leg. And how do you show that at the start to an American coach? Is that you show that you have a big kickoff leg, and then that could be your way in. Like, if you've got 4 or 5 years of eligibility, that could be your way in the door. And then you get in the door, and he says, "Oh shit, this guy can actually really hit field goals really well too." Next thing you know, you're the starting kickoff and field goal guy. Um, Everybody's going to have their own journey in that way, and how that works out. Some might be really, really dominant on field goal, and that's the way it'll work out. But don't underestimate the power of kickoffs. And I know a lot of college coaches like hand out scholarships just solely based off of your ability to kick the ball off into the back of the end zone. And I think time and time is shown again with us Irish guys is that we've got pretty big legs, and your average American kicker can't kick the ball as far as what we can. So for the most part, in my experience anyway,
Yeah.
and I just can't wait for the American coaches to recognize that
Yeah. No, I said
even
that.
even more than what they have already.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a niche for the Irish lads being combo guys, and then as I said, Australian guys they tend to just punt and not kick off. Where most of our lads we can try kind of do all three, and or we can do
Yeah,
two to a very high level. So
yeah,
definitely keep smashing kickoffs. And then there's one more here, a little bit of a deep question. Is it worth it to leave family and friends behind for the dream, in your opinion?
yeah,
Good riddance.
yeah. I mean, Dara, like, I got a chance to go straight to the league. Like, I could have not be.
Yeah,
For me, like, well, maybe some of the guys know, but I was a huge NFL fan and would have stayed up to 4 a.m. watching games for 8 years in a row. So I don't know how much interest the guys have in watching that sport, but that was the sport I would have watched the most, even from Ireland. Like, so, would have stayed up late many a night, and would have thought that if I had the chance, I could have done it. Considered going to Australia in 2020, but I was like, that's why these guys are so lucky to have what's set up now. And the eligibility, yeah, that's great. But yeah, for me, like, no brainer.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, it's tough. It's tough. It can be tough, like family members, stuff going on at home. You're kind of missing out on that or whatever. Some good, some bad, but that's just part of it of moving away. Like, we're young. Like, we're not supposed to. In Ireland, we've got a small town mentality. At times, and we think that the GA club scene is the biggest thing in the world, or GA county scene is the biggest thing in the world, and I can assure you that nobody in America even knows that Gaelic football is a sport. Um, and not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, Gaelic football means a lot, and it always will mean a lot to me. And I still watch Down every weekend. Be watching them this Saturday. But yeah, like, there's a bigger world out there too, and life's for about having experiences. And Gaelic will always be there for you at home if you don't like it and if things don't work out. So, you're not going to miss out that way.
yeah. No, exactly. There's fucking as in like everyone just in general, like traveling the world and getting out and about and trying something new in a new country. Like you're gonna change so much as a person, grow so much as a person, and like get unreal experiences doing that. So yeah, I'm a
And you
big
get to
believer.
do, basically it's your job. Like kicking football is
Yeah.
your job. For me, it's my job. I know obviously the guys in college or whatever, but could you imagine working towards something that if you're good enough where this is actually your job now, like where you don't have to sit in an office 9 to 5 and come home and or be on the site in Dublin all day and be wrecked and coming home into training. Like it's like I've every single evening free now. I don't have anything else the rest of the evening now. I'll just sit and watch a movie or two with Matt Hayball, our punter here,
Uh,
and we'll cook some food and just chill. Like that's my life at the minute. Like
no, it's not a bad life, lad.
oh,
And
it's
then
sweet.
so this is coming to my head because seeing as the rest of the boys are here, some lads are going to college like Lorcan and the rest of them.
Yeah.
When they're going to be playing their first game match in a big stadium like you, for your first game, what's like the main thing they need to think about just to fucking bang that first kick in the first game? Lots of people
Yeah, well,
watching.
again, so that's where you're going to face adrenaline. So it's about recognizing. It was like kind of similar to going into the NFL Combine. It's kind of similar to walking into all the stadiums in the preseason there last year, and just embracing it. 'Cause isn't this class? Like I'm getting to play in 3 NFL games here, guaranteed, and obviously we're hoping for better things again this year, and I'm confident that'll happen. But yeah, like just embracing the fact that like isn't this unreal? Like I'm getting to play in front of a crowd of 80,000 students who are all so drunk that they don't even know what happens in the game. They're all screaming at you, and just the atmosphere that college football brings. And there's a part of me that nearly wishes like wouldn't that be class to have? So, um, but yeah, look, that's what's coming your way. So just embrace it all, enjoy it. Like just walk in the stadium, you're smiling your face, and don't shy away from it. And then when it comes to the kick, then it's okay. Now it's time to lock in, recognize the adrenaline in your body, and make sure that okay, my tempo or my approach is smooth with the ball. My steps are the exact same as I'm hitting the kickoff to open the game, or if I'm hitting the field goal or PAT or whatever it is, that everything's the same. But use that adrenaline maybe to just kick the ball a bit further. Maybe that's what you could do with that. That's the way I try to think. And yeah, just enjoy it. Like that's
Yeah.
the main thing. It's for me. It's so fun to be able to do this as living. I'm just so grateful that it's because it is difficult. Like it is difficult, for things to work out. But whenever you have that desire and you want something so much and you're willing to put in the work to make things happen, then good things can happen as a result.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, as in like as you're saying, like nothing happens outside the arena. You have to put yourself in these big moments to fucking for big things to happen. So
Yeah, and you could just think you could be comfortable. You could be sitting, in your tracksuit, or you could be sitting in the stand watching. You could be playing at home in front of a crowd of 200 people, or you could be over here, playing in these big, big days and having memories for life. So, that's what I'll say
yeah,
for that.
I like it, lads. I'm just I
Yeah.
think Ty, if you're there, if you want to ask Anthem or if, anyone else has the last question for him, feel free to fire it ahead. If not, or sorry, I'll give lads a second if anyone wants to ask Anthem. Anything else, I mean.
There's a question there. I was going to from
Oh,
South.
sorry.
Cheers for doing this. I was dealing with the NCAA for the last hour, so excuse my lateness. Oren asked, good question. What's the ideal season? I assume it means for you. What's the ideal season? I mean,
What's the
What do you
goal?
mean? What do you mean by that? That's like a broad question, Lauren.
what are you hoping to achieve this year, probably? Or
Oh, for me, like personally, well, yeah, I mean, my goal is pretty clear. Like, is to become the starting kicker here with the Saints, and if it's not here, maybe it'll be somewhere else. But like, it's gonna be difficult. Like, I've got a guy that's been, playing for the Saints the last 2 years, but I worked. I didn't miss a lot of kicks last year either. So, on the practice squad and stuff, and I think the coaches are seeing that. So, I'm just confident about showing up every day. And me and Tag were actually talking today about this, about season on, opportunities, any mistakes that the other guy might make or whatever, but just focusing on yourself and just constantly saying that it's process driven. And whenever you're so process driven in those moments and so locked in those moments, and just like your eyes are, whenever it's your time to go, you're like, there is nothing stopping you. Like, that's whenever those moments matter, and that's the present moment. So it's just about being locked in on the present and making the most of your kicks. Your numbers are adding up and adding up. Next thing you know, the general manager's saying, "Well, look, these are the numbers from training camp, or these are numbers from OTA. Like, that that's not for me to be thinking about. For me to be thinking about is making kicks, and the goal is to become the starting kicker. It's pretty clear. And then when that happens, we'll go again, and we'll focus on having a really good season then.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You just do your job and everything else will fall into place as well. If
Yeah.
you're banging all the kicks, they can't but not pick you essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to say on that though, Charlie talking about the process is he doesn't control the outcome. He doesn't control what the GM, the final decision. He can influence things through his performance, but at the end of the day, he controls, as he said, locking in for every field goal, every day that he's out there, taking advantage of that. But you hear all these phrases, one day at a time and 100%, 1% better and all of this crap. But like, it is true. Like an asset Charity had, I said to him earlier today, was like, it's really obvious because I've coached a lot of kickers now, and like it's been a really enjoyable journey. But he's been different. His ability to like lock into the process in the moment. The moment doesn't exist all day. It doesn't exist 2 minutes after the kick or 2 minutes pre-kick. You have a bit of a process, but like the moment comes and goes pretty quickly. But it's those that can engage with it, like truly and immerse themselves in it. So they just kind of just like zone in and they're just there, present where their feet are, and then go execute and then detach again. But it's it's a piece people use, but like locking in is not easy, and that's something Charlie does well. Yeah, go on, Charlie.
And even on that tag you said there, and I know I would say this too, one day at a time. It's like, for me, that's even too broad again. It's like whenever it's practice time, it's like, okay, this is whenever. Don't get me wrong, I'm locked in. Like, I'll be sitting in my apartment and like for like half an hour, I'll be in a daze and thinking about how I'm going to feel whenever it's my time to kick. So it's like, and then next thing you know, your heart rate's up, and it's like, yeah, but I'm so locked in. It's like, even that one day at a time might be even a bit broad, but it's whenever it's practice time, it's like, okay, there's 10 minutes team field goal here, and there's nothing that's getting in my mind apart from making sure that I am so locked in every single warm up kick I have here. And if I miss one in warm ups, okay, I take the learnings from it and then take it into the next kick. So it's even when it's practice time, it's like there's 10 minutes to go before team field goal here. There's absolutely nothing else in my mind apart from field goal, and that's like, it's even, how would you categorize that? As one moment at a time, one kick at a time, one. Even now I'm talking about it, I'm getting myself in that sort of state of mind. It's like thinking about it,
Getting
like,
riled up.
but yeah, like that's just the way my brain works, and um, that's what hopefully will help me achieve my outcome. As you said, Tig, it's not outcome based. It can't be outcome based. And one thing John Carney tells me all the time when I've been chatting to him is never play a general manager in your head, because you're not in control of that. So if I just keep control of my own process, keep focusing on what I can control, controllable thoughts, controllable everything, controllable actions, then that'll lead to better outcomes. Whereas if you're thinking outcomes, then you can put pressure on yourself, and me v him, that's not really a place where you want to be. And I just was I texted Tag about that today, and just wanted some even reaffirmations from him as to what I should be thinking. And because at the end of the day, I'm still learning too, but um, just we're on the same page with that, So that's the deal in that.
No, yeah, that's good stuff there. And then just so I'm not keep saying last question, this will be the last question
Yeah.
for the day. And it's a good one as well. What would be your biggest piece of advice for your younger self in training and practicing?
When it comes to like the whole,
Just
okay.
just a piece of advice for a young you starting out training and practicing in this field.
Yeah.
Like what would be, if you knew it back then, what you think would have been good to know or have done something from the beginning, let's say?
Turn
Turn up on time to the session, is it?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't
Oh, turn
matter.
off the session and time. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, that is a big thing. Like how much, like, just being organized is a big thing. But yeah, just enjoying it all. I mean, I feel like in those, like, through conversation that we got a pretty good thing going. So when it comes to the American football, I've just developed so much as even as a person. And if I could actually talk about my younger GA self, I've learned so much more about my American football, lifestyle, that I would change about my GA lifestyle. And that can be something that these guys take from their GA lifestyle and have it from the start into their American football lifestyle, is just being a positive person, you know, like just see negative people and saying, oh, he missed this, oh, like, you know, like just changing your ways about how you think about everyday situations that can help you actually on with your on-field performance. So if you're generally a negative person, then and you miss a kick, and then you're going to be cursing yourself out. And I used to do this all the time when I was playing football, Gaelic football. You know, you're cursing yourself out. I missed this. I'm shite. I'm this. I'm that or whatever. But whenever you just take a deep breath and say, you know what, not a big deal. I missed one kick. That's just, I know I'm a good kicker, so I'm just going to go and make the next one. Take a deep breath. Being just a general positive person to be around. And that book we read, The Mindful Athlete, was, we always talked about it. It was really good for that. And, you know, even the law of attraction as well. It's been something that I've looked at, and what you think is ultimately what can end up being your outcomes on life. And just being a generally a positive person. And I use this uh, analogy all the time, is that, you know, like road rage as an example. I don't know why, it's just the first thing that all comes to mind. If you get bad road rage, that means you're generally an angry person. But like somebody flashing your car, you know, into your lane at the wrong time or whatever, take a deep breath, and that translates to missing a kick and not getting angry at yourself, and then going to the next kick and being calm. So it's just those types of strategies that trying to remain calm in all situations is the biggest thing that I've learned, being generally a positive person to be around.
I like that, Charlie boy. You've come a long way from
Yep.
not knowing how to turn on a washing machine in Florida.
You show me it, but I'll not forget that.
I was there since day one, boy.
Yeah, with all the sunburn as well. It's
Yeah.
class. Good
Um,
times.
it was, boy. All right, lads, that was class. Thank you to Charlie for coming in. I don't know, Mike, can you hear me? Thanks to Charlie for coming in. It was unreal, lots of unreal. Like even myself, I wrote like loads of notes there as Charlie was talking away there, and he said a lot of excellent stuff. So hopefully you took a lot of stuff from it as well. And Les Ty, do you want to say thank you or anything last before you let all the boys go?
I'm just shocked. I can see Conor Mangus on the call and he hasn't said anything. I assume he's going to say something before he said goodbye, or no, maybe not.
Oh, here's a cocky comment from someone who was extremely late to the meeting. Good man, Tig.
Busy changing lives, Ted. Busy changing lives over here, trying to figure out NCAA compliance. But no, just for me, Charlie, thanks. That was brilliant. I mean, how many lads? Like 20 odd lads here. But one of the fellas, the big things. For most of you guys wouldn't have been at the hotel on Sunday. We had meetings with the guys that are going to college / are in college, and one of the biggest things was that sometimes you can see like the whole concept of what we're trying to do can seem quite far-fetched and like unattainable. And like look what Charlie's done in a very short period of time. Like he's in the league, he's bypassed the NFL altogether. But there's a lot of Irish lads in the league and stuff. But like that's a byproduct of a shitload of work, consistent work. Again, the stuff he controls, and like it's just you guys being realistic in like it's very hard to get there, and a lot of you will not. That's just the reality of this. But like to give yourselves the best chance. When I say that, I mean the NFL, college football, the odds are obviously higher, but you guys being realistic in how much you need to put into this to get something meaningful out of it. And just because I think I'm seeing a lot of names here I don't really know that well, so I'm looking forward to seeing you at sessions and stuff. But like Charlie, there was no stone he left unturned, even when the path was so fuzzy. No clue where I was going to end up, but like he still took every best action with the information he had in front of him, which was a testament to him. But just someone asked about, I think Mark asked about advice for younger fellas, and just kind of going all in. I think it is a really good way to look at it. So anyway, it's not for me to be giving some inspiration.
Like going all in. And obviously when, you know, like you mentioned that, and that just brings something to mind. Like we went all in, like, you know, I went all in, Tag went all in, you know, everybody with the IPP, Connor went all in with all the support, and you know, Dara, we all went all in together. Like it was just great times and great memories. And yeah, and as I said, these lads, now is the time to go all in. And then when you get in the door, you know, you keep working hard, but also like, you know, it's you're young lads as well. Like enjoy it. Like, you know, don't think, oh, I have to be, you know, all tight in it and everything's about, you know, kicking or whatever. Like I only kick twice a week, so you know, life's about, you know, it's about enjoying it all as well. And you know, you don't have to be serious all the time. It's just about knowing when to lock in and when you can, relax or whatever. But for now, when you're trying to get in the door, it's a grind, and that's Tiger will back me up on that.
Yeah. But it's an enjoyable grind as well. We all love kicking, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're playing the sport, and that's all part of the journey. All right, we're done. Cheers, Charlie boy.
Yeah, no, cheers,
Cheers to
lads.
everyone
Thanks
for
for having
coming.
me on. Good seeing your face again, Dar.
No, it is, lad.
Yeah,
It's good crack.
yeah.
All right.
Right, we'll get off the call before I say something stupid there.
No, we will bye.
Good luck.
All right, see you boys.
All right, lads, all the best.
Sloan.
Thanks,
See
Connor,
you.
as well.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. See you, everyone.